for today, like I said, we're going to talk about getting started with NVivo 101. Can everybody see my slides? Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to be toggling between my slides and NVivo. So if you get kind of dizzy, just be like, okay, Tiffany, you need to slow it down. So for our agenda for today, just talk about the session goals, what is NVivo, getting familiar with multiple uses with NVivo, specifically with coding. So we're talking about coding, auto code, how you would do a thematic analysis. If we have time, that's something I want to get to today. Most importantly, how to upload your transcript into NVivo. And last but not least, if you want to book a consultation with me, I have a QR code that you can sign up with me to book that consultation, as well as on the CTRL website, you can do that as well. So the goals for today are, like I said, getting to know NVivo. We're going to discuss the multiple uses, demonstrate how to upload an interview guide into NVivo, and experiment coding an interview guide using NVivo. I just want, before we go forward, did everybody get the email I sent with the transcript? Fantastic. Okay, make sure you have that. Yes, Jocelyn.
Sorry, I meant to say yes, I received. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Just speak up. It's all good. So I just want to make sure everybody got that and then also was able to put NVivo on their computer. Is that thumbs up? I know some people find it's kind of tricky. Okay, fantastic.
I didn't do that, but is it in the email?
It's a link that I can send to you. Give me a quick second, I can do that. It does take a couple of minutes to do. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure folks got it ahead of time. Yeah, it's not a big deal. So here you go.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions before we, and again, just pipe up if you have any other questions. So what is NVivo? So it's a premier software for qualitative data analysis. There are other softwares that are out there. NVivo just happens to be the one program that we have a license to at American. There is also Atlas TI, Deduce, Fall Coder. Those are the only ones I'm thinking of off the top of my head. But there are other programs that are out there. There is a fee. Oh, Max QDA is another one. There is a fee to have those licenses. I personally am familiar with Deduce as well. So if you ever want to talk to me about Deduce, you can just ask and book a consultation to do that. So why use NVivo aside from the fact that we have a license here at American, and it's my favorite four-letter word, free. NVivo allows qualitative researchers to organize, analyze, and visualize their data, finding the patterns it contains. So I will actually send all these slides to you, so you don't have to worry about writing anything down. I'll send them to you. Like I said, you can get the free installation of NVivo by going to the tiny URL. You can also ask at ctrl@american.edu and request the installation, and that you should be able to do that. There is, I will tell you now, you have to renew your license every year, and it kind of comes around like July or so. So typically when you try to open your old NVivo, it'll say, hey, your license has expired. And typically somebody will shoot me over an email saying, hey, can I get my updated license? And it's not a big deal. I'll just send you the link to get the updated license. So NVivo is available. Oh, which one should we download? Ask for. I personally like NVivo 15. That's just to let you know, that's my choice. I like NVivo 15. No problem. So NVivo is available on Windows and Macs. Windows licenses can use from both Windows and Macs, but the Mac licenses are only for Macs. And you can actually see there's a difference in the platform when you go to, like, if you open up the NVivo on a Windows versus opening it up on a Mac. Projects other than NVivo files can be moved between different platforms. but NVivo Mac does not have the functionality that NVivo Windows has. So I will tell you now that data can be lost. It's not anti-Mac world. I just want you to know that it's possible that it can be lost. Okay, so I'm gonna close this real quick and change screens. So I just want to make sure, can everybody see the with NVivo screen right now? Yes. Okay, awesome. All right. So give me 1 second. So what we're going to do is we are going to upload a transcript. So the transcript that I sent you earlier, we're going to upload that into NVivo. You do not need to log in. That is the biggest mistake that a lot of people make. So you do not need to log in. What we're going to do first is click on new project. Well, actually, hold on. Okay, so I have my own directions here at the same time, so sorry. So what we're going to do is click on new project. We're going to download the transcript to your computer and make sure it's already labeled. So now we have project title, file name, and description. So what I would want to do is name this, I'm going to say William and Henry. Henry was the interviewer in the transcript that I sent you. And because I already have one up here, I'm going to say practice. If I could spell. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is for description, I'm going to say, Broadway, or wait a second, sorry, Down East interview with William. If this particular transcript looks familiar, it actually is from NVivo. So all I did was download the practice one. Everybody will actually have its practice one is called Environmental Change Down East. So I will tell you now, you can find that transcript in this file. So what we're going to do now is click next. And then right here where it says auto save the project, if you say yes, you're not going to be able to save the project. So I just say no, and then display every reminder every 15 minutes. You can say 15 minutes. You can increase that time if you still want. I personally like it at 15 because then it reminds me that I need to save. Saving is key. Recovery files, this is where it's going to be. You're going to be fine here for the rest of this right here. And then you're just going to click create project. And it should appear. Oh, there it goes. So if it takes a little while for NVivo to do what we need it to do, just to let you know. So this tour, I'll take you through the tour, but the tour will always come up. If you don't want it to come up, you can hit this box, do not show tour again, and it won't show up. Okay. So let's just go ahead and take the tour. So we're going to be using the import. You can import your files. You can actually see the files in detail view. That'll be on the right side of your screen. But importing is going to be really important. You can import different types of files. However, there is a limitation on audio files. I will suggest if you want to use an audio file to consider other platforms, there is a fee, like we're limited on how long the audio file is. I believe that you can upload a PDF, but I know for certain you can definitely upload a docs or a docx file. Okay. So any Microsoft Word file, the TXT files, we are limited on audio and video. I believe you can upload images, and definitely surveys with open-ended questions can be uploaded into this as well. So to organize, you're going to just to organize your data, which is coding. For example, there are ways to code in NVivo, and I'll show you the multiple ways to code. You can drag and drop the selection from here over into your codes. And then the codes are kept in the codes folder. Okay. You can organize your cases. The interesting thing about cases is that you can limit it to, sorry, lost my train of thought. You can limit it to like gender or the location or the age for it to be very specific in for the cases. And that's regarding the transcript. Okay. If you can organize notes, if there's time, I will try to show you, so I'm trying to say, how to annotate the transcript, which is really important to do. Some people like using memos, some people like using annotations. I'll try to show you both. And then queries, there's a cross-tab query. It's great for insights. Some people like using queries, some people don't. But it definitely is something that you want to consider exploring when you're trying to get results out of your data. My favorite part of this, I will say, out of this program is actually using the visualizations. So I will show you like this one visualization that has its hierarchy. Once you in auto coding, so once you are ready to code, you'll see a hierarchy visualization, and it'll look something like this. Okay. So I will tell you now, NVivo is good at centralizing your data, just meaning that you can put it on the cloud. Unfortunately, we do not have the collaboration cloud. It does come with an extra fee. The collaboration cloud allows you and multiple researchers to code the data. I will tell you now, if you do decide to use the collaboration cloud, unfortunately, I won't be able to help you. There is a fee. The fee, I believe, last time I checked was like $500. Now, I don't know if it's $500 per person or $500 per research team, but that's something you need to explore with, I was going to say Qualtrics, with NVivo, okay? And I can send you, if that's something you're interested in, I can send you the link to connect with support. Do your collaborators have to have an NVivo license? I believe, yes, they do have to have an NVivo license. Yeah. I will tell you, okay, you like the link. So here is, all right. So Eric, if you could just send me an email, about what you need, and so I can remember, that would be great. Okay, so now we're getting to the fun part. We're going to go ahead and upload a transcript. And the first thing we are going to do is go to import and then files. And I'm going to actually import William right here and then open. And then I'm going to click import. Fantastic. So, oops. So from here, the name is, I'm going to say William, and then I'll put in Henry transcript. And then I have found it to be very helpful to write a description of what you're downloading, because when you come back to exporting the file, all the information is already in the in your file. So again, this makes it easier. So I will say Henry's interview starting down east. And then I'm going to click OK. The other thing you want to make sure to do is when you're uploading a transcript into NVivo, the speaker is highlighted as heading 2. And I could actually show you that real quick. Oh. So here on this, can everybody see this transcript? Fantastic. Okay. So here you can tell that the headings are a little different. So you want to make sure that it's heading 2 when you upload it into NVivo, so it's easier for it to read. The headings help with auto coding the interviews as well. Okay. I'll just minimize that. So any questions so far?
Yeah, could you repeat the part about the headings? So you're saying that in the Word document or the PDF document, if we have an interview transcript, it helps to have a very systematic way of having headings within that, because then the program will find autocodes based on those headings?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So what's the difference
headings are just, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, so for a standard interview transcript, the headings would just be, the interviewer's question and then the answer, question, answer, question, answer. So I guess what kind of headings do we need to have?
Sure. So in this particular one, it's the question, like here's the question 1, connection to down east. So this is heading 1, for instance, right? And then what you want to do is just maybe emphasize it's heading 1. So this is question 1. It also helps with your themes when you start pulling out your themes from your transcript.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay. You're saying that we kind of have to do the work of going in and already coming up with themes for each of the questions.
You're not coming up with the themes for each of the questions. What you're doing is you're helping NVivo read the transcript so that it can help you pull out the themes when you begin to auto code, if you decide to auto code.
That's good.
And then also when you're looking at the transcript in the system, it actually, you can get through it a little bit faster versus like if everything was the same font, you can just easily like highlight and then name, like code it for whatever.
Does that make it makes a little bit of sense. I mean, it still feels like whoever did the titled question 1, connection to down east, and question 2, connection to down east natural environment, they had to go and categorize Q1, Q2, and Q3.
That part is correct.
Okay. And then should the way Word, for instance, does heading 1 and then subheadings through a formatting, should we do that in Word before importing it, or should we do it in NVivo after we import it?
You want to do it in Word before you import it.
Got it.
Eric, you had a question about difference between codes and cases. So codes are what you're pulling out of the transcript. Like maybe it's like how many years William spent living in Otway. So right here it says I've owned my house in Straits Township in Otway for 3 years. So let's say that I wanted to code this as years of residence. So that's what how you would code. For cases are typically like, is it by gender, location, age? It's more of like descriptions of the people who you're interviewing versus like you're using the words from the interviewee, excuse me. Does that make a little bit of sense? I meant Joseph, not Eric. Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to just minimize this. Okay, so now we're going to get ready to code. There is about 2 to 3 methods of coding, or to code. There, there is an option for, like I explained earlier, there is an option for auto coding. I will tell you now, it's easier to code at least 10% of your, of your interview before you do auto coding. Okay. Because then then NVivo will pick up on the algorithms for, to put into its auto code. So the first thing we're going to do is manually code. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the transcript right here. And we're going to right click on codes and then under coding, and then we're going to click new code. And that will appear. And just to let you know, if you have any questions, just shout them out because I can't unfortunately see my screen with everybody raising hands. So here we can name the new code with our research question or questions and themes. It's easier to do it with your research question. So what I will say is I'm going to name 3 research questions. So for the first one, I will put, what is the connection to living in Down East? Let's say this is residence. So this is the residents of those living in the area and their experiences. What you definitely want to do is like aggregate coding from children. So this is considered a parent code. So with parent code, it has the overarching code, and then there's codes underneath that. And I'll explain that later. So, oops. And okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the second question, a research question. I'm going to click new code. My second research question is, what do you like or value about living down east? I just put likability of living in an area. Again, aggregate coding from children, and then click OK. And then for the last code, I'm going to go new code here. And then I'm going to put, what are the community and environmental changes you have seen over time? Let's say, again, I put changes over time. And if this were an actual study that I was doing, I will say this is an actual study within the system. But if I were doing my actual research, I would put more of a description in this area. Okay, so now I have my 3 research questions here. And then again, if you want to, these are all parent codes. Yeah, these are all parent codes. Does anybody have any questions of how I did that? Okay. So now what I want to do is locate under coding. You can go ahead and right click. So let's say I want to add a new code. So I can go ahead and highlight the question, put a new code in.
So sorry, all the sentences with circles by them are called parent codes.
These are all called parent codes. Yes.
Okay, so when I imported the file you sent last night, I already have a bunch of parent codes like real estate development, policy management, natural environment, memorable quotes. Did those come with the file?
Um, Wait, did you already code it?
No, I didn't. I just imported. I did exactly what you were doing. Clicked on file, document, clicked on this file that's called William and Henry, I believe, and then
Oh, okay. So
immediately. Sorry.
no, it's okay, it's okay. So you know what happened? I think I actually sent you a coded, um,
Right.
coded yeah, and
Right. So,
transcript.
okay, yeah, because there's balance, attitude, community change, economy, infrastructure. It's already populated with these codes when I click on code.
Okay. So I sent you the wrong file. That was another file that I was using. So I can actually put in a chat. Give me a second. And I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Interesting that a Word file itself had the codes embedded in it.
Yeah, it's interesting. this this is one of, again, every this is probably my Achilles heel when it comes to this particular program, because it just does things and you're just like, what happened here? All right, so I just put the William transcript in the chat.
Thank you. So that's without the codes, right?
That's without the codes. Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Any other questions? Okay. So what I'm going to do is, so we already went through question 1 or coding 1. So creating a child code, we're going to go ahead and create a child code. So in NVivo, a child code is a code that's nested within a parent code. So it would go right underneath here or here or here. Child codes can be created before or during the coding process, and they can help you organize and structure your research data. When a child code is created, it becomes part of the hierarchy of codes, and I will show you that after the auto coding, and it can include references from both child code and the parent code. So what we're going to do for the child code, we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and highlight a text from the transcript or an excerpt from the transcript. So I'm going to go right here and highlight these 2 sentences. And then I'm going to go ahead and right click. And then I'm going to click on code selection. And then does everybody see these right here? I've got my 3 research questions. What I'm going to do is click on the research question I believe this excerpt would go hand in hand with. So I'm going to click on this and then click on create new child code. And you see right here, the child code has been created underneath the research question. And then I can put years of residence. And then I'm going to go ahead and type in or hit the code selection to new code. And then it just appears right here. So here's your one reference, and then your one reference here for the research question.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any questions of how I did that?
So I have a question. Sorry, I feel like I'm asking too many questions, but
yeah, unfortunately, I can't see hands.
How many generations of child codes is normal? I guess is typical. Obviously, you don't want to do too many because that's going to get too confusing, right? So is there right, and then one generation, sort of one embedded level, usually sufficient?
I mean, I think I'm going to say that I think it depends on your research question, and then how many codes you believe are in your are in your transcript are representative of your transcript. I know that's a vague answer. But I really think it kind of depends on you as the researcher. I don't think like if you had one research question that one code would be sufficient. I mean, if I were on somebody's dissertation committee, I would be like, how deep did you dig into the transcript or what you were hearing? So I mean, I think a sufficient amount, I don't think one would be the answer, but I definitely do believe like maybe 4 or 5 codes could definitely be sufficient, but it definitely depends on the type of research that you're doing. Thank you.
Can I jump off on a different question along the same lines?
Sure, Sonia.
Could I think of all kinds of child codes and then say, gee, wait, these 5 child codes seem to be related to a overarching parent code? Like, or do I have to set up parent codes before defining child codes to go with them?
So it's easier to set up your parent codes first. But let's say you want, and tell me if I'm off the mark here. Like, let's say you don't want this here. Now it doesn't want to do it. You can like drag it into another
Okay.
parent code. So like right here, I just dragged it into this parent code.
Okay.
Now let's say my parent code, my very first research question, let's say that, you know what, I'm going to get rid of the first research question. And let's say I want to slide it under. No, it doesn't want to do it for me.
So you're basically saying, in other words, one can sort of rethink one's hierarchy. It's not, cut in stone as soon as, okay. That makes
it's not,
sense so much. I come from the Atlas TI universe, so I just want to know how it works. Yeah, good.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I think like the way I try to explain it to people who are not NVivo people, it's kind of like trying to decide if you're a Mac person or an Apple person or a Samsung person. I had to let go of my Apple once I got married, and so I am now a Samsung person. So I think it just kind of depends on like what kind of program, what kind of QDA, qualitative data analysis program you want to use.
Yeah. No, this is good. This helps me think how I need to. That's super helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead. Anybody else?
Yeah, can I ask you to do that again? Because it's not doing the same for me. I do have a
Yeah, no problem. I will tell you, NVivo is very finicky. You see that sometimes you'll see this, I call it the circle of death of blue on this. So what you want to do is you're going to highlight or click on the child code. And let's say I want to move it back up to the very first research question. So I'll drag it and then just drop it.
Sorry, I meant to say, can you show us or show me how to do a child code again?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, no problem. Okay, so let's say here we go. So let's say that I want to I highlighted this particular sentence, and then I'm going to go here, go to code selection, and I right-clicked before I forget. I right-clicked, code selection, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the second research question, which is what do you like or value about living down east? I'll click on that, and then you see up here where it says create new child code. I'm going to click create new child code, and then I'm going to type in living family, and then code selection to new code. And now it's nestled right under that parent code.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, so how are folks feeling so far? Like confident? Okay, great. So I'm trying to remember where my train of thought is. So we did drag and drop. Let's say you want to let's say you don't want to do the whole process that I just did, right? So let's say that you want to just drag and drop it, drag and drop a sentence from the transcript. So here's a sentence. I'm going to just drag and drop it right into my parent code. And then you'll find it there. Because I don't have a child code here, I will actually need to put in a child code. So let's say I want to create a new code. And then I'm going to just type example 2. I'll click OK. And then here's my child code for what is the connection to living in Down East. Does anybody want me to show you how I did that again? Are we good? So we've highlighted, we drag and dropped. Now we're going to do auto coding. Now, I will say that with auto coding, the wizard is just a tool that allows users to automatically code large amounts of text data by identifying patterns, assigning codes based on predefined criteria. It does help speed up the process. I will tell you that. However, there is a big but. It's really important for you to have read the entire transcript before you go into auto coding, or at least have an idea of what you would like your codes to look like. Because with auto coding, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the what is being picked up is not necessarily what you're looking for. Okay, so you definitely need to be familiar with your data set. As I said, definitely code that 10% of your data first to get those themes. So there is some, when you are doing auto coding, you can do like thematic identification or sentiment analysis. So thematic identification, this is just, is automatically identifying potential themes within your data by looking for reoccurring keywords. Those keywords are typically nouns and phrases across documents. And then the sentiment is like the version of autocode can detect like a positive or negative or neutral stance. However, it doesn't reflect the overall tone of the person being interviewed. Like sarcasm, it won't pick up, okay, in the sentiment. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to autocode. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to home. We're going to go, sorry. We're going to go to home, click on auto code, and then you'll see right here, here's the identify themes. This is identify sentiment, speaker name, style or structure, or use existing coding patterns. I'm going to just say identify themes. So now I'm going to click next. So these are all the themes that are coming out of this transcript that was auto-coded. I'm just going to scroll all the way down. So this is, these are all the themes that come out in your autocode. If you don't, let's say you don't want something to show up, like let's say main changes, it's only one mention. Let's say you don't want to have that, you can click off of that and it won't show up in your results. But for the rest of it, like let's say that you want to keep everything else, that's fine to do as well. So I'm just gonna click off of main changes here. And now I'm going to click excuse me, next. And because it's by themes, you can either do by sentences or paragraphs. So if I was using sentiment, I would probably go by um, paragraphs because a sentence may not be as reflective of, oh, I had a good time living in this place and da 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 da. Whereas if I'm just using sentences for themes, it'll be a little bit quicker and nicer looking. So I'm going to click on code sentences and then I'm going to click next. And as you can see right here, we can specify the codes or cases, but most importantly, you can specify like where you want it to be located. So let's say I want it to be the auto-coded themes. It'll just be nestled right underneath codes right here. And then I'm going to click finish. Okay. So I'm going to go to my auto codes right here. There we go. So here, this particular graph is a hierarchy of the themes. So we can see that change is a big deal in this particular transcript. If I click over here with change, I can see, excuse me, that there are 5 references to change in this transcript. Excuse me. But this hierarchical chart, it really provides an overview of the structure in my coding information. And again, because I was auto coding for themes, it tells me how many references were found in the transcript. So let's say that I want to look at what this says. I would just double click on it. There it goes. So I double clicked on area change and you can see that this is the question and this is William's response. I have seen the area change, Now maybe that's not enough. So let's say that because I use sentences, it wasn't enough. I can easily just run it again. One of the reasons why I do like having clicked the no at the very beginning of the program, you can actually undo everything. So let's say I want to undo. Okay, well, right now it doesn't want to show up, but typically the undo would show up right here. Excuse me. So let's say that I want to code for sentiment. I would go through the whole thing again. So let's say I go to auto code. I'm going to identify sentiment, click next. I'm going to code paragraphs this time, and then I'll click finish. And again, this is just like the feelings of the people. So right now it says that it can't find any sentiment coding references to create. So it could be the fact that I didn't code enough going in, and that's the result of this particular situation. But I do know, when I did this earlier, I definitely had some sentiment going in. Again, using sentiment, it just really, it's automatically or manually identifying and tagging sections of the text within your data as expressing a positive, a negative, a neutral sentiment. Often these sentiments coding goes beyond just a positive or negative for allowing nuanced classifications like very positive or moderately negative, etc. So, I personally probably wouldn't use it in my own research, but I think it kind of depends on the type of research you're doing. to figure out whether or not you want to use sentiment or not. Does anybody have any questions about how I just auto-coded or about sentiment analysis or themes? Okay. So I'm going to click on files. I'm going to go back to the transcript. And what I'm going to do now is we'll talk about using annotation or memoing. So I'm going to throw this question out to everybody. When you think of memoing or annotation in your research, what do you typically think? What does that really entail for you?
Memoing or annotation?
Correct.
Just quickly summarizing?
Exactly. Yeah, it's just quickly summarizing. For memoing, it can also be a part of your observations. But what you can do both in NVivo. So the purpose for using annotation is for classification or clarification, excuse me. And let me share this part with you because I asked ChatGPT, because we all know how wonderful ChatGPT is these days. So I asked ChatGPT, I was like, if I use annotation in NVivo, what does it mean? Or what is the purpose? And so this is what the answers were. So clarification, contextualization, personal reflection. I'll get to the question in the chat in a minute. Personal reflection, collaboration, track changes or decisions, improve transparency. Improve transparency. Sorry about that. That slide. So yeah, I just wanted to know what ChatGPT would say. Malini, not sure if I should code that comment on ChatGPT as sarcasm or not.
No, because you said we all know how wonderful ChatGPT is.
Oh yeah, that was
Trying to figure out you're being sarcastic or real.
no, it's totally sarcasm, total sarcasm. Yeah. I guess I'm picking up the habits of my wife. She's like, oh yeah, I can never tell if you're being sarcastic. So yeah, I mean, now there is a way to use ChatGPT in qualitative research, but that's for another conversation. Again, and number one and number two, like you can definitely cite it in qualitative research, but that's another conversation. But I thought it would be really neat to kind of find out what ChatGPT would think about using NVivo and annotation. So yeah, that was what it showed me. So I'm going to go back to the transcript real quick and show you how we would actually, excuse me, pull out the annotations. So what we're going to do, like I already clicked on files. Let's say that I'm going to highlight, I'm still at the top here. So I'm highlighting these first two sentences. I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to click on new annotation. And then right here at the bottom, I can say like years living in and then that's now my annotation. Again, some people love using annotation. Some people like using memoing. So I will show you how to memo. Again, the purpose of memoing is it's another way to document your reflections. Dr. Philip Adu, which I will actually show you, I'll attach a video that he's doing with thematic analysis, or he did with thematic analysis. I'll attach that to these slides for you to have. But I find his presentations to be extremely helpful. So to memo, let's say we're going to highlight this text right here. And I'm going to highlight it, right click. I'm going to go to links all the way at the bottom. Then I'm going to go to link or memo link, and then again, link to new memo. And then I can go ahead and just put in phase 3 description, William explanation. And then I'll click OK. So as you can see, like phase 3 is up here. Doesn't want to show it to me. I think this is one of the other reasons why I have a love-hate relationship with NVivo is that sometimes you're clicking on something and you can't see it. But yeah, this is where your phase 3 would be. And again, this is area of change. So this is where my last annotation would be. Okay. Again, annotations, I really think and believe like annotations might be easier to just be able to see throughout your document. And it should be an important process of you understanding your data and documenting your thoughts. But if I go back to the transcript, come on. You can actually see the annotation is right here. So that's one of the other reasons why I really would prefer doing annotations than memoing. So let's talk about themes. I know I've got 10 minutes. I do want to talk about themes, but I also want to talk about exporting your code book. I realize I don't have 10 minutes left. So let me go ahead and show you how to export your code book. What you're going to do, you're going to click on share above, and then click on export, and then you click on export code book. And from here, you're going to click on OK. Let me just move this over. And now this is my code book that I created. And this is one of the reasons why I was saying earlier, it's really important to put the description down in like when you're asking for the name and the description. It's just really important to write out what the description is. The other part that's I think is kind of cool is that it also gives you your auto themes. So you can have all this information here too. You're welcome, Ashley. Take care. So here's that information. So that's for exporting your code book. And then, since I have 8 more minutes, I'll just show you how to do themes as well. What you can do, the really cool thing about this, even though thanks, Nabila. One really cool thing that I think is really important to do is like you'll have to save this because it's your initial file. So let's say like we save it. Copy project. Okay. So I'm saving it. It's here. I'm going to browse to see where I want to put it, and I'll rename it practice. Then I'm going to hit OK. Can't do that. Give me a second. I'm sorry. So let me just say like William interview. And then I'll hit save. I'll hit OK. And then I'll hit open project. Open, excuse me. I'm gonna browse. And I hit William interview. I'm gonna open it again. And then what I'm gonna do is, let's say that, oops. There we go. So let's say that I'm going to name something as a part of my themes. What you can do is you can right click on your actual theme, or not right click, you'll just click over the question. And let's say you can just put in theme. And then that would be all that you can do. You should do. And you can do the same thing for the other research questions. Or let's say you want to delete a question. What you can do is you can right click and delete. But I will tell you, it'll just remove, it shouldn't, but it might remove the child code underneath, which it did. Which is fine, because let's say you didn't want that anymore. Okay. But let's say that you want to do, again, you want to have another code, click new code, down east, and again, you would fill out the description however you want and click OK. And now you've got your theme here. Do I have any other questions? If folks could please fill out the survey, that would be great. I promise I will send out, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I promise I'll send out the PowerPoints to you so that you have that for your expense.